right now. 5, 4, 3, 2. We're going, man. All right. Hey, thank you, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of Recon Up with Chris and Bill. And as you can tell, we got on here, didn't plan this. We thought we were going to see who could out recon each other with our recon swag. If you don't know, recon Marines are worse than sorority girls. Man, if you put a recon logo, and that includes Sarks as well and the docs as well. If you put a recon logo on something, we will buy it and we'll buy a lot of it. But with that being said, since it's called Recon Up, Bill, why don't you tell us what does Recon Up mean? You hear that expression a lot in the recon community. What does Recon Up mean, man?
Well, let me tell you real quick. Let me drink.
Yeah, let
You know.
me also get a drink. Get a drink real
Okay.
quick.
Yep. Recon up is something in which you tell another Marine or another person, your friend, and it really means, hey, you know what? Pull up your panties, fucking get to work.
Yep.
You know, man up. You know, do what needs to be done. Um, Pretty much, don't let yourself get in the way of the obstacle. You know, you have to actually look at what you're trying to accomplish and actually strive to that. And you have to give everything in which you have to complete the mission. So when someone says, hey, man, you need to recon up, you need to pull up your big boy pants and get to work and look out for the people that are under you and over you. And
Yeah.
pretty much,
And on that note, and I will be the first to admit that Bill had to give me a recon up a couple of years ago. I was going through a bad time in my life, had a bad breakup, was wallowing in my own despair, and I got the from Bill. He gave me the. He was like, actually, here's the way he said it to me. You gotta love this. He goes, "Bro, quit being a bitch, man. Recon the fuck up." And I was like, you know what? He was right though. And I said, all right, got my shit together. So with that being said, we do want to point out a couple of foundations that help people in our community a lot. Recon Sniper Foundation and Marine Reconnaissance Foundation. So Bill, if you just want to give us a quick, overview of what these guys do and who they are and how they help.
yeah, the Marine Reconnaissance Foundation, just so happens this weekend, they're actually hosting the Gold Star families. And Gold Star families are family members who have lost a loved one in battle. So this weekend out of Camp Pendleton, the Marine Reconnaissance Foundation, with the support of everyone who actually volunteers, puts on what's known as the Recon Challenge, where individuals go out and they compete in teams to see who can finish this challenge the first. And, it all has to do with running, swimming, working radios, land nav. So it's everything that a recon Marine does. And they actually bring out these Gold Star families to watch. They put them up in nice hotels. They have dinner for them. And it's just the place where they can have camaraderie with individuals that actually, either work, known, they're family members. So it's just something in which the Marine Reconnaissance Foundation does. And they actually help out Marine Recon members, snipers in our community, any special operations persons, they fall on a hard time. So it's a great program. And also there's the Recon Sniper Foundation. And with Chris, talk to us a little about the Recon Sniper Foundation.
Yeah, yeah. I was actually one of the original founders of that a number of years ago, and it's similar to the Recon Foundation, but they included specifically for snipers in there. Very similar mission, and they provide a lot of support. They have a recon sniper team, so they'll send teams of folks out to a lot of shooting competitions, things like that. But in much the same way, provide oftentimes financial support to folks that have fallen on hard times. Uh, Sometimes you lose brothers and sisters. For those that don't know, 22 veterans a day commit suicide. When you get into the special operations type world, the hardcore combat type world, whether it's, recon, sniper, ranger, special forces, any kind of special operations, that number goes up significantly. And so both these foundations really help with folks that are struggling. So if you get an opportunity and you're looking to donate, reconsniperfoundation.org and reconfoundation.org, great places to go. So with that being said, we're going to jump into the topic du jour, or topics of the day here. And, certainly we're not at a loss for shit that's been going on in the world
Oh,
today.
man, no kidding, no kidding.
What what's the first wait, I'm trying to see what's the 800-pound gorilla that's, been going on? Something with college campuses in a little tiny country the size of New Jersey in the Middle East has been going on, Bill. What the hell's been going on, man?
Oh, man. Hey, I just want to say right here on this show, get to America. What the fuck does that even mean?
Well, and you gotta say, well, you're living in America and probably on public assistance in America. You gotta say death to America. I mean, seriously, what the fuck does that mean, man?
Not only does that like divide us, from everyone else. I mean, when you're actually saying death to America, you know, as let's say a layperson, military layperson, that pretty much tells me that you want to kill every single American. You know, why in the hell come to our country if you want to kill all the Americans just because of your political ideology?
Yeah.
And I believe that it is a political ideology. And these I'm going to use the word stupid college kids, who are going out there and chanting death to America. It's like you are where you are because of Americans and America and what we believe in.
Well,
And
and it's not just stupid. I mean, there's an old expression that if you're young and not liberal, you have no heart. If you're old and not conservative, you have no mind, right? And so college kids are idealistic. I fucking get that, right? But these idiots are walking past homeless encampments and people starving on the streets of America, going to their elite schools that cost $100,000 a year that mommy and daddy are paying for and bitching about Israel in America. And it's like, oh, and the ones that do have to take student loans are getting them an excuse so we can pay for them. And here's what I love, man. So these kids have these demands, right? I was hearing this. They're like, we demand that Columbia University quit supporting Israel. You know what? I remember I was watching Dave Chappelle and he's like, hey, you know what? Instead of riding on the bus, get off the fucking bus and make a point. Hey, you know what? You want to make a point? Drop out of your fucking school and make a point and give them the middle finger. But no, they're going to sit there in their little tents and death to America, death to America. Unbelievable, man. It
and
truly is
and,
unbelievable.
and they don't even understand what that means. I'm sure the majority of them, you know, probably think that America could be better, in which, granted, we can always improve
Sure,
upon.
sure.
But death to America and what? Bring in Sharia law, you know?
Yeah.
Because the people that really chant that, it has to do with our foreign policy and our policies here in the state. I mean, what's that great little town that tried to get Sharia law passed? And
Dearborn.
who's their congressperson?
Rashida Tlaib. Yeah, Rashida Tlaib, man.
Exactly.
Yep.
And, you know, can you imagine if we had Sharia law here? She could not do what she's doing now.
Hell no.
But yet, that's what they want. They want to take America and our foreign policy and just wipe it clean, and they want to bring in, you know, their foreign laws and their foreign ideology, in which that's not America. That's not
Well
American.
well, and here's what kills me, Bill, and most Americans haven't seen the side of it. I got a lot of Muslim friends, and it's not the religion itself. I've got a lot of Muslim friends, everything else, but you and I have been in the Middle East. We've
Correct.
seen the extremism, and I've fought terrorists, you fought terrorists, and I've seen the extreme side of it. And these people over here that think, and I love how you get these college kids, these LGBTQ kids that are like chanting, we stand with, Hamas. Dude, Hamas would cut their fucking heads off, man. They have no idea, man. They have no idea what they're even talking about, man. These
No.
people over there, they're so extreme, they're so fundamentalist. Man, they even kill their own people just because they believe a different view of Islam, you know?
Yeah.
They believe a little differently than them. I mean, it's unbelievable these kids, are supporting that shit.
And, talking about kids and being in Iraq, one of the great things in which we used to do is, win over, their mind. So we used to give them candy. We used to drive through the town, and see a bunch of kids. We used to chuck them candy. Well, if a little girl, a young woman would pick up a piece of candy, the young boys would literally go over there and just beat her up and take the candy. I mean, there was no ifs, ands, or buts. If if she would get a piece of candy, and they would beat her up and take it and just leave her laying in the street. So we would have to make a perimeter around, the females and the girls, and give them candy and have them eat it there within our presence because they would, the boys and men, they don't see women as women. They just see them
Oh,
as,
yeah.
servants.
Well, and breeding vessels, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
100%.
hey, do you remember that couple that decided they were gonna show everybody, that all you have to do is be kind to people? They got a couple of bicycles, they were gonna ride them across all the stands. Do you remember that? And they
Oh,
started in, like, Uzbekistan and shit, and they get to Afghanistan, and, of course, they get kidnapped by by fucking ISIS, right? Next thing you
yeah.
know, they're held for, like, 5 years. The woman's raped. She gives birth to, like, 3 kids, in captivity. One of them dies. The dude obviously is beaten to a pulp over and over and over. They finally get let go. They're divorced now. The guy ends up, brutally abusing his wife, but, they had all the good intentions, but again, you try to explain to these people, man, these people don't even understand that the moon is a planet, you know?
Oh,
I mean, they literally do not they have no education except, the madrasas explaining to them, like, rote memorization of the Quran. So,
yeah.
rationalizing with these people, they don't get it, dude.
No, and, I'm going to throw out a phrase from Rep. Sheila Jackson Lee, who is a congressperson
Oh,
from
boy.
Houston.
Right here in Houston, yep.
Yep. Do you know that actually the moon is made up of mostly gases?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. I mean, you literally learn something every day from that part of the world. And she just had to throw that out there because, she was indoctrinating our little kids out there during,
Yeah, well, and
so
she's also been considered, like, the meanest member of Congress for, like, the last 10 years in a row. She's like, do you remember she went after her own staff members, like, berating them and cursing them out. She's just a horrible, horrible human being, man.
and so let's go back to the facial recognition. What would facial recognition actually say if they had her face, you know,
Yeah.
pop up on the screen in front of you? Hello, left leaning Democrat. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
They,
it's funny you bring that up. So we're reading the story. So apparently, there's a story. I was going to see if I could find this. It was in the news that they have the ability now from facial not recognition, but they have the ability to discern somebody's political ideology based on their face and the facial expressions, the way you look, and things like that. And it brings up a lot of privacy issues because a lot of people, I mean, clearly my political leanings are probably pretty obvious to most people. However, some people consider that pretty private and they don't want people to know. And that's okay. But imagine now somebody can take your LinkedIn profile, you're applying for a job, they look at your LinkedIn and they go, oh, Chris is Republican or he's Democrat or he's, whatever, big privacy issue. And then you even go a step further. What if they were able to figure out that, somebody was gay or not gay or whatever the case is? I mean, it really opens up a can of worms.
and along with that, I mean, who is currently using facial recognition right now? You know, every
China.
single, well, yes, which is going to play right into my point. Every time you grab your phone
Oh,
and
yeah,
take a
man.
look at your phone, your laptop, one of your tablets, it does facial recognition. Do you think that whichever software program you're using is not storing that information and giving it out to everyone else? I if if you ever read the privacy policy on, say, TikTok or even Facebook. They own all that stuff,
Oh, yeah. Oh, they do, man. They do. Well,
you
and
know?
you know that Congress just passed that, it's not a ban on TikTok, but as part of the and we'll get into this, man, the 90 fucking billion-dollar funding bill for Ukraine and Israel, 90 billion, but they also passed the, requirement that TikTok either, sell or be dissolved, which is kinda interesting, because, TikTok, man, I mean, it's nothing more than an arm of the CCP that's been spying on Americans, which is, so that's kinda interesting.
Yeah, but I'm not going to throw this out there too. Um, Facebook, you know, they're doing the exact same thing.
Oh, yeah, man.
Uh, X, previously known as Twitter, they were doing
Oh,
the
heck yeah, man.
except they were working with our government to, uh, listen to what we're saying.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, it's just not good. If you actually were to read the Facebook's um, privacy policy in which you sign on, it would actually take an average person 76 days
Oh my
to
god.
read those 14,000 words.
Oh my god, man. Well, and it's all written in legalese too, man. So it's
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
even if you read it, it's like understanding it,
Yeah. A layperson,
Yeah.
myself, you
Yeah.
know, when Facebook says, hey, if you agree to this in very small print, and this is actually inside of their policy, anything you call, text history, logging in, we can all use that, or Facebook has the
Oh,
right to use that.
oh yeah,
Any
man.
any picture that you post, anything on Facebook, they have the right
Oh,
to
oh, it
use.
gets better, dude. So TikTok, and I know Facebook was doing this. TikTok actually had a thing that said that they have the ability to connect to other devices on your
Yep.
network. So they can connect to your TV, your Amazon Alexa, to your refrigerator. You got a smart refrigerator. They can connect to anything they want, collect all that shit and store it. Oh, it's unbelievable, man. But going back to that, what do you think about now we're given it was going to be 60 billion, 90 billion dollars, man, to Ukraine and Israel, bro. 90 billion. Which
You
what
know,
what's I'm gonna look it up real quick. What is the budget of the Marine Corps, man?
yeah, it's not that much. And
Let's see. $52 billion, man. The Marine Corps, $52 billion of budget for fiscal year, yeah, 2024, man. We just gave $90 billion. Wait, another 90 billion.
yeah, and we both know that while you were in the Marine Corps and supported us people in the Navy like jock straps, um, we never had enough money to do anything.
No,
You
no.
know, we were always begging for gear.
Yep.
And the only reason why we would get gear is if another branch
That's right.
would, one, do all the testing and we would get their leftovers.
Yep.
Um, so even if they would get the Marine Corps, any of the other services, be like, oh, you know what? We're going to take this 90 billion and just divvy it up to, I guess now we have to say Space Force, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, Space Force too, Coast Guard, which I do respect the people in the Coast
Yeah,
Guard.
hey, yeah.
Um, yeah, but it's just sad that we're giving that much money to a foreign country
Yep.
when we can't even take care of individuals here in the U.S. and our own service
Well,
members.
and it's again, it's another 90 billion. I mean, on
Yeah.
top of what we've already given them 160 or something. You're
Oh,
just like, for goodness sake, go back to the Coast Guard. So my dive partner, my dive buddy in dive school is actually Coastie. And I didn't know
okay.
anything about the Coast Guard. And he was a big muscular dude and great dive partner. But I said, man, what's your job, man, in the Coast Guard? Why do you have to be a diver? And he was a buoy tender. And I said, okay, what does that mean? He goes, man, we go out on these like, the Coast Guard has those little boats, right? 100-foot boats or whatever. And he goes, we go up to these buoys in the South Pacific and we go and we dive and make sure that the buoys, the lights and everything are working and everything. I said, "You gotta be kidding me. That's a job? You dive in the South Pacific on buoys? That's what you do?" He was like, "Yeah," and he goes, "And the captain," he goes, "There's only like," I forget, like, he goes, "There's only like 15 people on the boat, right?" And he goes, "And the captain, it was a female, lets us bring our surfboards." And I'm like, "You gotta be kidding." So they were allowed to have a surfboard and a bicycle on the boat, so when they went to shore, they could take their surfboard and the ride. I'm like, "Dude, I joined the wrong service, man. I'm in the wrong
Oh,
s."
but I do remember once out there in Hawaii, we jumped on a CH-46 and we were going to do some helo casting out inside the bay. But one of the things in which this helicopter would do every morning, it would fly to another island and just do a quick recon of, the shoreline to see if there was any stranded vessels or anything like that. It was just an agreement in which they had with the Coast Guard that someone from the squadron would
Okay,
go
yeah.
do that. So one time, we're all sitting back there in the back of the helicopter and we're flying over. All of a sudden, the crew chief's like, he's on his headset. All right, we got to land here and land here. So they landed, you know, on the beach. The guy jumps out and he runs over, picks up a surfboard, that they found on the beach, brings it back, throws in back of the helicopter and goes like, yeah, we find at least one a week. Yeah. And we just use them. We'll go up a little bit north where the waves are good and they'll let us out for 10, 15 minutes to catch a couple of waves. And I was like, all right, is that going to be before or after you throw us out of the back of this
Yeah,
helicopter?
no kidding, man.
You know? So granted, hey, the Marine Corps used to do that stuff too.
Yeah, well, and I went to dive school in Hawaii, and I tell people, I'm like, that's back when they used to go when Pearl Harbor was still open,
Yep.
Ford Island there. That's where I learned to dive, and I was like, it was pretty tough going when you have to learn to dive in Hawaii. And dive school is not trivial, right? Even Navy dive school is tough, man. But yeah, diving in Hawaii is not a bad day, man.
No. And, I spent 6 years in the military in Hawaii, and it was the only place where it'd be December, January, 2 a.m., and you'd be coming out of the water,
Yeah.
and you'd be like, oh, this is nice.
Yep. Yep.
You didn't have to take off your wetsuit because you didn't have to wear one, you know, um, 80-degree weather. So you'd literally come out of the water and, say something for like a 5-day patrol and you'd be like, man, this is beautiful. Unlike, when we go to California and
Oh
it's
man, it's
December
freezing, dude.
and you're wearing a wetsuit and you got to go to shore and, you can take off your wetsuit or, continue on wearing it. But Hawaii was always good when you were able to dive out there. And one,
Yeah, I would tell people, because I was like, yeah, I remember the first time you do a night dive. People are like, "You dive at night?" I was like, "Oh yeah, that's the military.
yep,
All your diving's at night, man." Like, "Do you have lights?" And I was like, "No, man, you got a tack board and you're just diving." And I was like, "You really don't want a light because it's gonna be like one of those cartoons, man. If you had a light, all you'd see is all the monsters staring at you." You
oh,
know?
what? Yeah, yeah.
You
You,
don't want to.
you had that one little Kim light on,
That's
on, on,
it.
on, on your attack board.
That's it. And once in a
And,
while, and I'm like, you'll be like, Penny, you're just diving down there, and all of a sudden you feel something bump into you, and you're like, "Son of a bitch, man." I don't even wanna know what that was.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Your dive buddy kicks you in the leg and you're just like, oh, 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 okay. Yeah, you got that little Kim light, and you're like, yeah.
I remember we were down there diving one day and, and I was explaining to people and I showed a video of how they shark you, and you go through Shark Week and people are like, "What?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "By the end of it, they're allowed to like rip all your gear off, tie your regulator and the knot, turn your gas off, spin you, flip you, bang you into the ground, all this kind of stuff." And I said, "You try to figure out why." But I remember we're diving and my dive buddy at the time, later on, he ended up spending 24 years in Delta Force after the Marine Corps. A
It
great,
doesn't
great, great
exist.
guy. But we're diving and
Hey,
he
hey,
kicks me in the
Chris,
face.
Chris, real quick, Delta doesn't exist.
Oh, that's right. Not Delta Force, because they don't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, CAG, but he ends up kicking me in the face by mistake, right? And boom, and my mask comes flying off, my regulator comes out, he busts my nose open a little bit, so I'm bleeding. And, you're underwater, you can't come up. And I remember at that moment, I'm like, "Oh, that's why they do the sharking because I didn't freak out, didn't do anything, I just traced my regulator, put it back in, got my mask, cleared it, blew the snot and the blood out of my nose and, continued on. But I was like, oh, so the training does actually, there's method to the madness. But yeah, dive school was tough, man. It was tough, man.
And, I also went to Ford Island.
Oh, I
Uh,
didn't know that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I was actually stationed in Hawaii. Uh, actually, we had a pre-scuba just like everyone else does, As a Navy corpsman, I was the number one person that finished um, that pre-scuba. But the sergeant major took me in his office and was like, "Hey, Doc, we have a Marine quota billet, so we can't send you. We're going to send a Marine." And that really pissed me off. I was
Yeah.
like, "Fuck." Here I was, I'm the strongest swimmer inside the sim dock. But there's no change in his mind. So when we go down to the dive school, I spoke to his name was McGee, Chief McGee, and he was the corpsman there. And I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm getting ditched. We're right down the street, and doing send a Marine." And I remember that chief going, "You know what? Just show up. Matter of fact, bring a couple of Marines with you. Make sure they have a good physical." He goes, "We always take 2 or 3 extra people." And so I'm
Really?
like, "Yeah." So I went back, spoke to the sergeant major, and he's like, "Well, Doc, we're still not going to send you. What we're going to do is we'll send 3 or 4 Marines there." And I was like,
Nah.
"You know what? I spoke to the chief,
Yeah. Yep.
and that's not going to work for him.
Nope. Nope.
It's only going to work for him
Hmm.
is if, you know,
If you go.
one Navy guy." I said,
Yep.
"It doesn't have to be me,
Yep.
but the only way they're going to do that because, that back then, Navy never got any quotas with the Marines,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we had to fight tooth and nail. But after that class, um, we would always be able to get 1 to 2 people into dive school out there in Ford Island.
Ford Island. Yeah. And they shut that down, man. That's where, what was his name? Bashir. Uh, the first black, master diver.
Yep,
Bashir, isn't that where he was based out of Ford Island?
I believe
Yeah,
so.
the movie, Man of Honor or whatever, Man
Yep.
of Honor was based on him. Yeah, he, got his leg cut off. Cuba Gooding Jr., yeah, he was man, that was a man's man right there. You wanna talk about diving, holy shit. I was trying to explain to people, I was like, Navy diving is serious, but you get into that deep sea, and one of my instructors was he was on the experimental dive team. I'm trying to remember his
Yeah.
name, and I said, "Hey, instructor, whatever, Instructor Smith or whatever." I said, "So, what's the deepest you ever dove?" And he goes, man, he goes, they know how deep you can dive now. He goes, they don't give a shit about that. He goes, all they care about is hyping you, making you go into hypothermia." I said, what? He goes, yeah, man. He goes, they put a probe up your ass and he goes, they hype you and see how long it takes to warm you up so you don't die. I was like, are you serious? He goes, yeah, man, I've probably been hyped 150 times. He goes, that the experimental dive team, man, hyping you and warming you up. He goes, that's all they do.
On the bicycle, underwater. Put the
That's
thermometer up your ass.
That's it. I mean, I always thought it was like something really cool, like you're wearing those crazy ass space suits and going to like 1,000 feet. He's like, nah. He goes, they already have the dive tables. They know how deep they can take you. He goes, they just want to see if you're going to die if you go. How cold they can get you and how long it takes to warm you up. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't sound like fun, man.
Yeah, yeah.
He was like, nah, it's not.
So let's not jump back on topic with this AI stuff. Um, because yeah, I'm unable to bring up a picture, but I have a great picture of me like hunting a T-Rex while I'm riding one. Um, very realistic. All right.
Except you got 9 fingers.
Well, yeah, and it kind of does look like this, but you know, um, I'll crop that out. You know, so when you do walk in to a place that is using AI, and let's just say it's a fashion store, they're going to pull up, picture of you, and they're going to be like, "Not gay, no fashion sense,"
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
ah, LGBTQ fashion sense.
So I'll tell you, man. So I actually, funny you bring that up. So I spoke at an event a couple of years ago in New York City. I do a lot of speaking, and they had this. This is back when AI was still kind of new. but they had this, full-sized, it looked like a mirror, but, you could stand in front of it and it would dress you. So it would figure out who you are and recommend clothes for you based on your look and your body style and all that. It was really cool, man. What was interesting about it, this one dude I worked with, every time he got in front of it, it thought he was a woman. It kept putting him in dresses. And he's like, "Oh, what the hell, man?" He was like, "What the hell is this thing doing?" And he was like a pretty normal looking, masculine looking dude. It thought he was a woman, but yeah. But it's, they're able to do that now, man, and, pretty crazy shit, yeah. And here's the other thing, man, AI. So, um, one of the most horrific things that goes on the dark web and everything else, child pornography, right?
Yep.
Obviously. So, you know how the police have those programs where they can age kids, kids go missing, and they can make them look older, so as they get older, they say, "Hey, here's what we think the kid's gonna look like today," it's been 10 years. Child pornographers were taking that, they were taking young looking, like, 18-year-old young women, and they were using it in reverse and making them look like, yeah, prepubescent girls. And the question became, is that child pornography? Because it's not actually somebody underage. So a lot of the laws now are changing and saying if it is showing somebody that appears to be under the legal age, then that's illegal now, which is the way the law should be written. But they were able to get by a lot of the laws by doing that. Isn't that wild?
Oh, yeah, and so Elvis Presley, one of the greatest performers of,
Oh, yeah.
um, my lifetime, not that I'm that old, uh, I've seen videos of him, where it's like a new video and it's
Oh,
all
yeah.
AI and you're just like crazy,
Oh,
where they
yeah.
can and if someone was like, didn't know that he was dead, they would think that that's Elvis Presley. Now I'm gonna go see him in
Oh,
concert.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, he's been dead for, 50 years, but you know,
They
yeah.
just had a lawsuit. I'm trying to remember who it was. They literally just had a lawsuit. They had an artist that they did a concert with that was passed. And I try to remember who it was, and their estate just sued the organization. They're like, You can't use their likeness for this." And they're actually saying AI now is taking over the porn industry because you don't have to hire, actors or actresses, right? You don't have to hire these, 20-something-year-old, young women. You just make an image of a young woman, and next thing you
Oh,
know, make all the
oh,
porn you want.
have you seen the AI? Oh, excuse me, the AI OnlyFans?
What? No, no.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and that individual's that program, because it's not an individual, that program is making over $500,000 a month.
Oh my
Um,
god,
and
man.
and it's AI.
Oh
And
my
I,
god.
I, yeah, I don't have an account to OnlyFans
Right,
yet.
right.
Um, but
I like that
watching,
disclaimer, man.
um, one of the lost my train of thought, but it looks. I seen a small little clip, um, and I was like, nah, can't be AI, because it's too realistic.
Yeah, yeah.
But sure enough, I was all like, did a little research. I'm like, that is, and
Oh, shit.
it was actually pretty good.
Hey, man,
So
who's that? We're not gonna bring up the name here, but this is kind of a funny story. Who's that brother on our secret group whose wife was, he'd go work out and she was stealing his skivvies, stealing his underwear and started selling them on like OnlyFans, his sweaty ass, ball juice underwear. And he finds out she's making like 3 or 4 grand a month. And he was mad about it until he found out how much money she was making.
that was, yeah, because then you go out there and look, and there'd be a picture of him with no head, but no shirt with these silkies on, and silkies is what we yeah work out in. They're like little silk shorts, nothing to the imagination. Where his wife, without him knowing it, would take a picture, and then people would actually bid um, on the shorts he was wearing. And this guy was like, man, I'm losing t-shirts. I'm losing workout shorts. I'm losing my skivvies. And he was just like, where the hell's it going? And yeah, he was very pissed at his wife until she's like, check out the money.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
man.
he's all like,
And then he
well,
got on board with it.
yeah, he's like, Do they want any special poses? You know?
Yeah, yeah. When I was in, like, and this isn't a shock to anybody that anybody that knows me knows I've been in rehab. When I went through rehab the first time, I met this young woman. She was a tattoo artist, and she was very good looking, but she used to, sell her bath water, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was like, "People buy bath water?" She's like, "Oh, yeah, man." She goes, "I can sell it for $50 a quart." And I said, "Was it real bath water?" She's like, "Hell no." She goes, "That's disgusting." She goes, "Of course it's not." She goes, "I took a picture of myself in a bathtub. When somebody'd buy it, I would just get like a quart jar and I'd go to the sink and fill it up with water. I'd send them water." She goes, "Of course I'm not gonna send them bath water. That's disgusting."
Yeah. Uh, People are crazy. People are
Oh,
nuts.
yeah.
If you have money, you're going to spend whatever.
Oh,
You know?
so I dated this woman long ago when I was first getting divorced, years ago, and, this woman I was dating, she had a daughter who was, like, 17, almost 18. She comes downstairs, we're all eating dinner one day, and her daughter comes downstairs and goes, "Hey, mom, somebody contacted me on Facebook, and, he wants me to send a picture of my feet. What do I do?" And her mom doesn't even miss a beat, and she goes, "How much is he gonna give me for 'em?" And it's like, "What?" And she goes, "Well, I mean, it's just feet pictures. He's gonna give you $100. I mean, send a picture of your damn feet." I was like, "Whatever, man.
Yeah.
Whatever." But yeah, she was telling me she used to get that all the time, and I guess there are people that are really into feet, man. You know?
Yeah. The world's crazy. I mean, I'm really not into feet myself.
No, me neither, man. I don't even like my own feet, man.
Oh man. Yeah. My wife always tells me, she's like, don't wear sandals. You know, look at your toenails. Don't wear sandals. Don't embarrass us. And so I like, you know, that's the military for you. They gave me that fungus on my toenails, and
Oh,
I
I
have
gotta
that for
tell you,
life.
Bill, so speaking about Facebook, man, I tried to post these pictures. So I go to my neighbor's house. You met my neighbor, right, Lance?
Yep.
The guy that builds everything. So I go over there. He's got a new, metal chop saw, right?
Okay.
Just
All
for
right.
metal. And I said, "Man, that's pretty badass." And I said, "Why'd you get one?" Because I said, "You don't just use a grinder." And he goes, "No, let me show you a picture." So he had just a standard disc grinder, right?
Yep. Yep. Got it.
Put it down on the ground. It was still spinning. Thing takes off, hits him in the thigh. Cuts him. I mean, you ought to see this wound. I'll send it to you. I tried to post it on Facebook, and they said I was posting violent imagery, and it
Yeah.
wasn't. It was
Yeah.
actually just the industrial, but man, it literally cut him almost down to his femur, and the doctor said it was less than a quarter of an inch from the femoral artery, no blood. And I said, "Why is there no blood?" He said, "It was spinning so fast, apparently, it cauterized the
Cauterized.
entire thing." And I said, "Dude, you were so lucky." He had to get like 28 staples to hold his leg together, but I'll send you the pictures. Being a medical professional, you'll appreciate it, but yeah, I was just like, "Holy cow, man." I said, "You know how lucky you were?" I mean, because it was like high on the thigh, like, it was only about man, it was probably only about like 6 inches below the crotch. So if he'd
Oh,
hit the femoral artery there, he'd have been dead. He would have bled
wait.
out.
All right. So can you imagine? I mean, for me, I mean, 6 inches, you know, below your thigh. I mean, I
I
would
know where
lose
this is going.
3 inches of dick, man. I mean,
I
I don't
knew where
think
that was going.
I mean, I'm not sure if I could survive with just 6 inches, dude. Um,
I knew where that was
uh,
going.
what? What? Oh, let me show you. Hang on. Co- Yeah.
It would totally miss me. But yeah, hey, back on topic about like the topic du jour. The 2 areas in the United States that send the most people to terrorist training camps. You know where they are, right?
Oh, I'd probably say what, Michigan or Minnesota?
Yeah, both of them. Yeah, Minneapolis, which is who's the congressperson out of there, man?
Yeah. I think she wears something on her head.
Ilhan Omar, our favorite, whose daughter just got arrested for protesting at Columbia.
And then who was suspended, kicked off campus, and then showed up the next day, talking about that's not white privilege. That's Muslim privilege, where they
Yeah,
went back the next day on campus.
yeah,
I mean, I don't have that privilege.
yeah. I don't have. Yeah, no kidding.
Clearly, she does.
Yeah, and then Rashida Tlaib out of Dearborn, and now of course you've got AOC running her stupid mouth about it. "Oh, this is peaceful protesting." Dude, you're throwing bottles at cops. That's not peaceful protest.
Yeah. And chanting death to America
Yep.
is not. peaceful, a lot more
Well,
just
and death to Israel too, and, it's like I put in my, my podcast, last week. Are they really protesting Israel and the foreign policy, or are they protesting that Jew that lives next door to them, or that Jew that goes to school with them? In my mind, that's anti-Semitism. They're not like we all live in America, and there are things that I wish my country had not done, right? Do I think we should have been in the first Gulf War? I don't, right? But that doesn't mean I hate America. That means I think that, George W. Bush sent us into a war we shouldn't have gone to. But I'm not going to say death to America. But when I see these people chanting death to Israel, I think what they're saying is death to Jews.
100%. I actually agree with that.
Yeah.
Um, it's just sad because, I mean, uh, knowing individuals, my daughter's in college right now. Um, some of the agitators have come into this country for nefarious reasons.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
they
Oh, yeah.
cross our southern border, they cross our northern border, and they go and they have been agitators to get these messages across. And some of the, I mean, it's amazing where, they've been showing, you know, hundreds of dollars worth of, food, water, their little head
Oh, yeah.
scarf.
Oh, yeah.
Someone has to buy. College students aren't buying that stuff. They don't have the money for that. And it's
No.
just crazy. So it's just people who are
Well, and
just trying.
have you seen have you seen the tents?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're all like, this is organized, man. I mean, their little tent city is all organized, man. They're all the same color tents. They're organized. I mean, can you hear me?
You are breaking up a little bit right now.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on in the
So
background, man. Hold on just a second. I don't know if I've got something going on in the background here. I don't know what's going on. Hold on just a second, man. That's kind of weird. Can you hear?
yeah, but it's definitely glitchy.
We back?
Uh, yeah, I can hear you now.
Are we back?
Yes, that we are.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Yeah, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty there, which happens. Yeah, I mean, this is clearly organized, man. Because you look at them, they've all got the same green tents. They're all around there. They've got this list of demands. But again, like you and I were saying, I don't think this is death to Israel. I think it's death to Jews. Anti-Semitism. I posted on my podcast. Jews make up 2% of the population in the U.S. 2%. Yet they account for, they're victimized in 55% of hate crimes in the US. So people talk about Islamophobia and, how, people that are Islamic are victimized. They're not. Jews are victimized actually 3.8 times more often than people that are Islamic. So, I mean, anti-Semitism is shocking to me, man. And the fact that people blame, Jews pretty much for everything, it's really shocking to me.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. Hey, so tell us one more time about the Recon Sniper Foundation because we got to start rolling this thing up here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the Recon Sniper Foundation again, foundation started about, gosh, we started this thing about 8 years ago. I was one of the original founders, Gazinski, Kelby Price, a bunch of us were involved in that. And it is an organization that, let me put it back here on stage, organization to help snipers and recon Marines. And quite frankly, it extends beyond that. They'll help pretty much any veteran that needs help, but primarily snipers and recon Marines. And then, of course, we've got the Marine Reconnaissance Foundation, which was primarily focused on recon Marines. Again, to help them. Generally, who they're helping are folks that have fallen on hard times, maybe lost their job, have medical issues with family members themselves, somebody that may have passed that needs help with funerals. They've even gone so far as to have folks go out there and do honor guards for funerals, stuff like that. So just they're both 501(c)(3), not for profits, so all the money is tax deductible and it all goes to a good cause. And anybody that's willing to donate, it's very helpful for folks. And like you said, they're doing the Recon Challenge this week with hosting Gold Star families. So that's what we got going on.
And I definitely know that you know, that they actually reach out to individuals that do struggle with mental health issues, and they do provide them with places to go, places to stay, and help financially with that. So both these organizations are just great. So yeah, if
Perfect.
you can, please donate.
Let's do it. All right. So, Bill, we're going to wind this up on our first episode of Recon Up with Chris and Bill. And we will be back in a few days to a week for the next episode. And by that time, we'll have 2 followers. So, Bill, thanks for your time as always. And we'll catch up later, brother.
Hey, Recon Up, brother.
Recon Up.